I mean, I'm loud as shit when I talk. I'll pull the mic over here a little more. Okay. Don't worry. No one's ever going to accuse me of being quiet.
Did you just snort? Wait, did you just snort?
I did.
Dianna always snorts.
Wow, things I don't know about Dianna that I'm learning.
Yeah, I'm a snorter when I laugh. When I generally think it's funny.
Scoop City is brought to you by Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Hi, everybody. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the NFL.
We are going to start this show off with breaking news.
Oh, yes.
We need a sound.
Yeah.
Friend of the show. He has been a guest here on Scoop City. The great Mike Silver is not only joining The Athletic as a senior writer, but he's also joining Scoop City today. Congratulations, Mike. What's up, buddy? Welcome to The Athletic. He's in the building.
I'm so happy to be here. And by here, I mean my favorite city, Scoop City. This is awesome. Yeah, I'm stoked to be part of this great team. And, I feel like we have two quarterbacks on this show, which is nice. And
let's go.
I'm just here to follow my assignments.
Well, for those of you who maybe missed our episode with Mike on it and may not be too familiar, but if you're into sports, you know who Mike Silver is. But he spent years at Sports Illustrated, Yahoo, the NFL Network. He recently was a columnist at the San Francisco Chronicle. But he is back covering the league for The Athletic. So if you haven't subscribed to The Athletic, but you listen to our show, definitely go get a subscription to The Athletic because this is going to become must read. Mike, I tell Chase all the time when I write my columns, I'll text him like, hey, read my stuff. And he'll be like, I got my coffee. Mike Silver is a snuggle up on your couch, grab a nice cup of coffee and read because it's going to be that
Another
addictive.
column
So,
I got to read. I like it though.
yeah, you're going to have two must reads, I hope, for you during the week, on top of all the other amazing beat reporters that are covering the league so well. And Mike's going to be working closely with them the way I do, and hopefully together we're just gonna kick some ass in the NFL, uncover some great stories, tell those tales of things that are happening in the organizations, players overcoming obstacles. We've got so much that we're planning to attack together. So with that in mind, guys, I was in Atlanta yesterday at the league meetings where all the owners come together, and I got a lot to share with you. So let's get right to it. Here's what I'm hearing around the league. Well, Woody Johnson has had himself a week. The Jets owner, fired Robert Saleh over a week ago. Then they lose to the Bills. They're dealing with the Hassan Riddick situation. And then he makes a move that they've been working on for a really long time, and that's getting Davante Adams in the Jets building, literally. This trade came together, guys, over the last, I'd say, 72 hours. The conversations really started to pick up. Right before kickoff for Monday Night Football, we all knew something was going on, meaning this thing was coming together. They had agreed on what this trade would look like. And Davante Adams got on a plane, flew across the country, and was at the Jets facility, as we all saw earlier in the week. But at the owners' meeting, it was the first time that we were able to talk to Woody about everything that's kind of come together over the last week or so. And he had some wild quotes about what this week has been like, Chase.
Thinking is overrated. You have to look forward. You have to look forward to the games we're going to play each and every week, and try to win all of them. And that's basic stuff, right?
Are you
I was saying, Talladega Nights. You've heard of that? Yeah. Remember that one scene? He said, "You're not a thinker. You're a driver." Right? And a lot of times it is. You just have to go with your instinct and what's the best thing to build a team and build a winning team and most importantly, build a culture.
And I asked him straight up, like, are you all in? Have you done everything you think you can in your power to get the Jets to the Super Bowl this year? And he just said, I'm doing everything I possibly can. And look,
that's what I'm afraid of, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, why?
I admire his intentions, but I just think he's really bad at running an NFL team. Actually, I don't think so. I know. And that's been proven over time. And I don't mean to hijack your intro because I'm sorry, but
no, let's go.
Hijack away, man.
That's why you're here.
I used to rank owners every year, first for SI and then Yahoo, and it was kind of a thing. And, I was pretty brutal. And this is not just me saying that. This is people who've worked with him. This is other owners. This is, over time. It's not just that the Jets haven't won, but they haven't stuck to plans. He seems to govern based on what he sees on social media, which way the wind's blowing, who the last person he talked to is. And, look, I think a lot of people, if you said Robert Saleh wasn't getting the job done, it's not going to work out there, could understand that rationally. But to have a guy be in London where he was the ambassador and then they lose a game pretty close, and it's like, you know what? I'm firing this guy when he's 2-3. He's had Aaron Rodgers for 5 games. That seemed a little impetuous and on brand for Woody. I do applaud the Davante Adams trade. That made them a lot better. Dianna, I'm sure Mark Davis was also pretty happy because he was paying like $900,000 plus every week that he kept him on the roster. So just it must have been a nice moment for him to get that off the books.
Yeah, we talked to Mark Davis a lot about obviously Tom Brady being part of ownership now. We'll get to that in a second, but I could tell Mark was a little he wasn't thrown off by the Adams trade. I just know he knew he had to do it. He said that his GM and head coach were the ones to make the decision, and he consulted on it, but it wasn't working. So now Davante Adams, a New York Jet, they are preparing. Davante Adams is expected to play on Sunday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Chase, with Davante Adams now part of this offense, knowing that Allen Lazard is really the only receiver that we've seen Aaron Rodgers have a lot of trust in, is this going to make the Jets that much better?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it right on when you said trust, because they have 2 other good receivers, right? Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, in my opinion, are great receivers. But you see time and time again when Aaron Rodgers needs to play, who does he go to? Allen Lazard. Okay, Aaron Rodgers trusts no one more in his entire life, and he even said it. He's like family to me than Davante Adams. So, you said that Woody Johnson likes to be instinctual and think with his gut, and his gut was saying, hey, Aaron Rodgers, do you want Davante Adams? And if you do, because we've given you every single thing you wanted, we'll give it to you. So on the football field, I think it does 2 things, Diana. I think one, Davante's going to be 32 in December. Does he still have it? How's the hamstring? Can he still handle the load of being a number 1 receiver? We talk about it a lot on the show. How is he in shape? Is he in shape? Is he not? What's he doing? But the other thing it does, and I don't think a lot of people realize, it's going to change the way defenses play the Jets. You're going to see a lot more too high safety versus Aaron Rodgers. You're going to continue to put Garrett Wilson, which I think he's been his best at, in the slot, and let him go to work against nickels and let him go to work against linebackers. And then also, it's going to open up the run game. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, you saw those 2 guys get started. So not only from a contextual standpoint and on paper it makes sense, but when you look at it, defenses will have to play the Aaron Rodgers-led Jets way differently than they have in the past.
Anyone else have a weird feeling about all this? I want them to succeed. I want to see them figure this out. They've had a really tough season going back to last year with Aaron getting hurt, right? So go Jets. But this doesn't sit well. I just don't see this ending well. Do you know what I'm saying?
I actually like this. I mean, I wish they could have done it a year ago, but how many times did we see Aaron Rodgers, when he needed a play, just get a back shoulder sideline throw to Davante Adams?
Yes.
Like they were reading each other's minds. That can go a long, long way. And I love what Chase said about getting Garrett Wilson better matchups and opening up the thing for Breece Hall. And I just have, the older I get, I just go, you know what? Great football players, even when they're older, tend to make a difference. And Derrick Henry would be my exhibit A, right? Like we all sat there the last 2-3 years going, is he declining? Is he too beat up? Running backs don't usually last. He makes a lot of money. Is he going to be on the Titans? Okay, he's going to be gone. And then did the Ravens pay him a lot? Should the Cowboys have paid him? I know it's a long season. He might get hurt. It might all change. But he's been pretty much the best player in the league at any position so far this year. And it's not really shocking. He's always been great. And I just think, yeah, Davante Adams has had the hamstring. Yeah, he might not have the same exact speed he had a few years ago, but I think he's still great. And I think if you can add a great player to a team trying really hard to take the next step, that's usually pretty good.
I have a question for you, Dianna. Because the second that Davante Adams was traded to the Jets, it ultimately made me think about Aaron Rodgers' career for next year. But then I started thinking, does it really matter? Are they really thinking that they're a Super Bowl contender for 1 year? They're 2-4. Now they got some winnable games coming up down the stretch. What do you know about Aaron Rodgers? Is it a 1 year thing, or is he going to play next year? Like, does the Davante Adams thing make, like, what's the deal there?
Yeah, they restructured Davante Adams' deal, so it's built now where it appears that he would be back for next year, and it would make sense business-wise for the Jets to keep him. But I know going into this, when there were conversations about where Davante wanted to go, there were questions about how long Aaron would play.
Yeah.
I can just tell you the Jets organization is operating the belief, maybe not in the full trust, but at least in the belief that Aaron is going to come back next year. Really? So they are solely focused and all in on right now, but there's definitely thought that this isn't it for Rodgers.
All right.
So,
I like it.
In the same regard, right, Jeff Ulbrich has stepped in as the interim head coach. And we asked Woody about that as well, of just, is this your guy? And he doesn't know yet. They don't know. They want to see. And he liked what he saw. He's like, this was a really good first step. We saw Todd Downing do a much better job. The offense just looked just improved, just like we were talking about what we could expect, the run game. They just need to be better in the red zone, which is an area he was really good at when he was with Tennessee. So we'll be
target.
Yeah, and I talked to some people there about that too, and they're very focused on that immediate improvement in the red zone for Sunday night's game. So it was Davante Adams trade was the big one, and it all happened. So Mike knows this, but Chase, at these league meetings, essentially what happens is all these owners show up and they're told they need to be in the ballroom, in the meeting room, let's just say like yesterday, 12 o'clock.
Oh, they're
right?
all late.
And the really experienced ones know the media is sitting in the lobby, because what we do is we post up and we're like the lobby gang. And we wait for these owners to come in so we can go pepper them with questions. And because, owners don't normally have their PR people with them at these type of events because, I don't know, they can just talk. They can talk. They work for themselves. They don't need to answer to anybody. Whereas, coaches and GMs, we have to set interviews up a lot. So it's just a great opportunity to just get them to share how they feel about their team. So Woody was probably the third owner in, and he was early. We said hello, and he stopped right there. He was, and he was being kind of tongue in cheek about stuff, being kind of cute with us. Like, what do you guys want to talk to me about? Obviously knowing that they have absolutely dominated the headlines for over a week. That is all we've covered. And it continues. Hassan Reddick, Drew Rosenhaus, his new agent, is trying to get a trade partner, is trying to find somebody to trade with the Jets right now for Hassan Reddick because they want to see if they can work this out. So they've got this short window to get this done. That window is closing. So we'll see if they'll be able to pull him in. And I also spoke with Tori Dandy yesterday. That is Hassan Reddick's former agent who fired Hassan Reddick last Thursday. And
which you don't see happen very often.
Yeah, Chase, have you ever been fired by an agent?
No, because I'm a good person, Mike Silver.
You're a great
I follow
client.
the rules, and I
I'm
say
a
yes
great
to the
client.
contracts.
Right, I don't, exactly. So 2 things, by the way. That's kind of how old school NFL journalism was when I broke in back in the ancient days. Like, that scene of like a few reporters in the lobby and owners, and you just talk to them and, you just have a conversation. Like, we kind of used to do that more. It was cooler. It wasn't like, Fred's going to the podium. It was like, I remember talking to the guys who covered the Raiders back in the day in the 70s, and they're like, no PR guy was ever like, Otis Sistrunk doesn't want to talk today. Otis Sistrunk might tell you in no uncertain terms he didn't want to talk to you, and you had to, stand on your own and take it. And someone, John Madden might scream at you because he didn't like what you wrote, but it was all person to person. It wasn't so like shielded. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, and Chase, it's a little bit, and Mike, you know this because you've been
It's like an old man billionaires club.
It is, but you have to get in. You got to hustle out there because they don't really want to stop. Some of them do.
What was your best story from out there? Like, how did you out hustle the rest of the beat reporters?
Oh, there's a good one.
And I want to hear it. But first, like, I just want to give you some props. And I'm asking about this. I had Jeremy, one of our guys on the show, social media, he runs the social media for the website and for our show. And you tweeted 25 times yesterday.
Why are you keeping track of that?
That was just about my announcement, yes. I thought.
Yeah. And Dianna, you had 7.5 million views on your tweets. 25 tweets, over 300,000 tweets, views per tweet. No, it's not uncomfortable because you do a lot for The Athletic. You deserve your flowers. To have that many people, just think about it, 7.5 million people tuned into your tweets. It's a huge thing for you. So what's your favorite story?
I'm one of them.
Thank you. It was a busy news day. And I was really pumped. It's like all this news is happening. And it was quiet for like...
You were on fire.
It was like 5 minutes. It was quiet. I was checking my texts. I was making calls. And I'm like, I guess everything's going to settle. I'm like, now's a good time to probably tweet that Mike Silver's joining The Athletic. This will be fun. So Mike was like in the mix with all this stuff going on and all this buzz in the lobby about Mike Silver joining The Athletic. It was awesome. It was a really cool. It was very cool.
There is a story though about you getting someone that nobody else got.
Oh yeah. So let's get to that. We'll do that now, actually. Let's talk a little Cowboys.
Let's do that.
Because I do want to go back and talk Browns and Amari Cooper because they traded him to the Bills. We'll wrap up with that.
Let's talk Jerry. Come on.
Let's talk Jerry. All right. So, guys, we know what happened. And if you don't know, Jerry Jones went on local radio, the flagship station for the Dallas Cowboys, and he was testy with the interviewers,
why would he be testy the day after that game? That's so weird. Oh wait, that's because they lost at home 963-6 or something.
It's their worst home loss in 36 years, Mike.
That's not good.
On his birthday too. It wasn't good, and it hasn't been good. It was embarrassing. Everything about it was it's what Jerry hates. It does not play into what he's trying to do, and especially after all the money they spent this offseason and on their quarterback and the continued question marks about this head coach and Mike McCarthy, who he continues to believe in. So Jerry, who we know loves to talk, and he's pretty incredible about giving access to anyone who wants to chat with him, decided after he met with the other owners yesterday, he wasn't going to comment. Earlier in the day was when he was on the radio station where he said, this is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over the reasons that I did something, and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job. That's not your job. And then just really laying into these radio hosts. So he denies us, and that's just not like him. So he ran off and, walked off. He's not running at 82. So... Chase, you'll appreciate the former athlete in me. My thought was, all right, I can scoot out the side door and go around and catch him getting in his car. Maybe if I can just stop him for 2 seconds, he would be down for talking.
You're stalking the old man. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
She's doing journalism.
So he's getting into his black SUV, headed to the private ticket to on his plane, helicopter, whatever he took, and he was very polite and was like, yes, I'll talk to you. So while his sons were waiting in the SUV with the window down, listening to the interview, I just, put up my recorder and we started to talk. And look, he had a lot to say about how his morning went and the direction of the Dallas Cowboys. So here is what Jerry Jones had to say.
Yeah, I don't know that I would go as far as the volume connotation as yelling. Okay? But the facts are that if I'm going to be grilled by the tribunal, I don't need it to be by the guys I'm paying. I can take it from our fans and take it from other people, but we're all on the same. Exactly.
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride in how fair and how much I try to work with the media. We're brothers and sisters. But I was a little frustrated there today. We got in areas of accounting for decisions made in the off season.
Yeah.
Okay. And they might as well go back to decisions made in 2010.
Yeah.
So my point is, and that's from my perspective, there's no question, I'm sure, that they would have liked to have grilled me like the fans are thinking, okay, what are you going to do about that? I get it. I get all of that, and really will go along with it. The wrong ones were doing the questioning.
Yeah.
Now, if those had been real fans sitting there, okay, or if there'd been people that knew what they were talking about, football people, might have had a different answer.
Mike, what do you think about that, man?
I mean, I have many thoughts. First of all, I love that he said it straight out. He's like, I'm mad because I pay those guys. I don't want to hear that. He didn't try to, like, be political. I go so far back with Jerry, back to when I was at the Santa Rosa Press Democrat before I went to Sports Illustrated, and he still treated me like I was big time. I guess, that showed me when I got to SI that Jerry he didn't change. He was always amazing. So I tend to defend him a lot of times in these situations. I am a media person who, by the way, worked for the league and Jerry. So I've been in that weird position. I think it was a little misplaced. My understanding is he's faced tougher questions before, on that same station. But something triggered him. But I guess to me, it's a sign of stress, right? He is 82 years old. He has always poured everything he has into this since buying the team and had the guts to, fire a legend, Tom Landry, and do it his way. And his commitment to trying to win championships and not being distracted by other businesses and all that is elite. He is what you want in an owner. He's always kind of faced the charge that, he's his own GM, his son is helping him as the GM, and he's not a football guy, he's down there on the field. That's a whole other conversation. I would just say this. The notion that Jerry acts rashly or is kind of a guy who will do the Woody Johnson thing and just make an impetuous decision, that has not been the case for a long time. Everyone knew that he and Sean Payton had a bromance. He could have had Sean Payton a few years ago, didn't go for it. I think there's no reasonable person that if Mike McCarthy had been fired after that playoff debacle against the Packers last January, who would have said, I can't believe it. Like, they would have said, man, he went 12-5 3 years in a row. And that's kind of brutal to fire him after making the playoffs. But they would have been like, look, they just got embarrassed at home by the Packers. And by the way, Mike Vrabel's out there. Bill Belichick's out there. Like, I mean, if he had fired Mike McCarthy and ended up with Mike Vrabel or Raheem Morris or something, I think most people would have been like, I get it. And he didn't do that. And he clearly doesn't want to fire Mike McCarthy today, even though I guarantee while he was snapping on those radio hosts, part of that was misplaced anger toward Mike McCarthy or anyone who had their fingerprints.
Well, he brought that up to me because, I asked him. I said, what are your plans with your head coach and your coordinators? And he said, I'm not firing them. I have no plans to do that. And I said, well, how are you going to get better? If it's not, if you believe you have the roster, you've got the players.
Good question.
And he really laid into practice, like the details of practice and fixing the techniques. And
well, who's in charge of that?
Mike McCarthy.
So it sounds like, he's going to light a fire under Mike McCarthy's booty here. I'm sure Mike is well aware.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Chase. What do you think?
No, but I want to get your instant reaction, just what you thought right when you heard that, because you're the only person to get it. Like, what did you think of the sound in the whole situation? Like, personally.
I thought he would apologize, actually. I thought he would go more the line of, I got a little heated there and kind of walk it back a little, but he doubled down. he just, but that just goes to show you, like, he really firmly believes that and look, I've spoken to coaches before, and it's like this, it's such an inside baseball thing, but they get so annoyed about like team website, team reporters, team video people who don't get that you're all part of the same thing. You're all trying to row in the same direction.
I disagree, because I think Jerry understands this too, because he was like one of the most influential people for NFL Network on the broadcasting side. If the consumer thinks it's Pravda, and fake, then it's bad for business. So it's a line. I think you got to be able to speak honestly. Like if you lose 47, was it 47-9? If you lose 47-9, you got to be like, this was a terrible day and everybody's upset. So I don't think it should be. It's weird that he was so triggered. And I would go back to 2010. I remember that really well. Wade Phillips had been the coach for a long time. Jerry did not want to fire Wade Phillips during that season for a variety of reasons. But they had a game right in the middle of the year against the Vikings that was so embarrassing. It was just so bad that he fired him and made Jason Garrett the coach. And sometimes it's not always the coach's fault, by the way. In this case, you could argue the Cowboys had a lousy offseason. They didn't manage the contract negotiations well. They didn't go all in like Jerry said. And that's on ownership and management. But sometimes an owner just has to go bleep this bleep to the consumer. and that's what happened in 2010. Jerry had to make a statement to the consumer like, I don't care if it's Wade Phillips' fault or not. This is unacceptable. I got to chop someone's head off. And that's what Mike McCarthy needs to avoid going forward. They can go 9-8 and they could sneak into the playoffs at 10-7, and he may or may not get fired. But if they lose again, especially at home, bro. But if they get embarrassed again in the near future, I think Jerry might not plan to fire Mike McCarthy, but he might. If they lose again soon like that, I believe Jerry Jones will fire Mike McCarthy, the radio hosts, his sons. Probably not his daughter. He wouldn't go that far, but his sons, his driver. He'll probably rehire half of them. I'm just saying, the earth is going to get scorched if that happens again.
Yeah. Before we move on to the Browns, though, I want to get my thought because I actually love it. Weirdly, and I'm usually against this stuff, but Jerry's a businessman, and he knows exactly what he's doing. You have a 3-3 franchise. You're coming off the most embarrassing loss you've had in quite some time. You're on bye week. You have a horrible defense. Dak is turning the ball over. You can't run the football. The coach is the talk of the town. Jerry goes, hey, you know what? Bring it on me. Take all the stuff away from everything that's going on. Jerry's done this before, guys. Let's be real. He's a genius businessman. And what are we all talking about? We talked about it today on the facility on our show on Fox. Jerry Jones, he wants the attention. He relishes the attention. And we had a graphic. I wish we could have it. But I said, hey, take a scale, all right? One of those scales that goes is weighted. And you put Super Bowl this year, and you put media talking about the Cowboys and everything that they are. I think the Super Bowl is a lot lower than him caring about what the Dallas Cowboys are being talked about and the fact that they are being talked about because it's America's biggest brand. So think about that from that perspective. Yeah, he wants to win a Super Bowl. He just took all the pressure off of Dak, all the pressure, just for the time being, all the pressure off Mike McCarthy and said, hey, put it on me. I can handle it. I'm a big boy, so I actually like it.
They're not going to be making any major changes either to the roster because I asked him if he was going to be aggressive at the trade deadline, and he said, no, I don't expect to make any moves at all.
They don't need to.
I just want to say this. I'll answer this. I'll ask a question and answer it because it's been asked of me before where someone doesn't talk to anyone, but then they talk to one person. And everyone's like, why did Jerry Jones say no to all the interviews and then talk to Dianna Russini? And I'll give the same answer that I always want to give, but on your behalf. Because she is an exceptionally charming human.
Let's go. 2 compliments in one show.
This, when we title the show, it should just be pump Russini tires. Enough, guys, enough. I love both of you. My 2 quarterbacks. All right, but so it's interesting, right? So you have the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, through the prism of Chase, taking all this heat to take away from the problems that you're seeing with their organization. Yet Jimmy Haslam didn't talk to anyone yesterday. The Cleveland Browns owner.
Surprise.
He didn't go on the record with anyone. He was polite and said hello to people. But obviously his franchise is under a lot of scrutiny right now because Deshaun Watson's not playing well because their entire team is not playing well. We know the story with the Browns. We talk about them all the time. Well, they also made a big deal. This was right after the Davante Adams trade to the Jets. The Browns dealt Amari Cooper to the Bills. And Chase, you know, because I've been talking to you about it on the show, like that Amari Cooper is a name I've been watching. Check in with those teams that were in the market for receivers, like the Saints, like the Chiefs. And Amari Cooper's contract just made the most sense. So they're sending Cooper and a 2025 6th-round pick to the Bills in exchange for a 2025 3rd-round pick and a 2026 7th-round pick. So, look, I think Cooper wanted to get out. Remember, guys, during the Brandon Ayuk situation when the Cleveland Browns were in on trying to get a trade with the San Francisco 49ers for Brandon Ayuk, they had Amari Cooper in that deal. So Amari's known since the summer that the Browns are good without him, or in their minds, they were ready to deal with him. So now Deshaun Watson, who they're all in on, they're not making any switches, they're not making any changes, their offense is struggling, and they get rid of their number one guy. I was not expecting you to laugh.
Well, I mean, what are we doing, Diana? We're getting rid of, like, I'm sure Amari Cooper loves it. He gets to play with freaking Superman and Josh Allen, right? And it's just
there's two parts to this, right? There's the Brown side of this and the Bills side. Let's stay with the Bills because I do think it's
yeah.
Well, can I just say one thing about the Browns? First
Yes,
of all,
you can.
a Browns trade, what could go wrong? Oh, wait. They literally made what right now, if you had to isolate it, is the worst trade in NFL history. If you consider the compensation, the draft picks, and the inability to move on from it because of the terms. And ironically, if you know his history, Jimmy Haslam would like a rebate, but can't get it on that trade. And that's my ownership joke for the day. But
Rebate.
Anyway, we can move on to the Bills. I understand what Chase is saying. It's not like dumping Amari Cooper for a pick is going to improve your franchise. Last year, they had such a good roster and defense that they were able to still be a playoff team.
Joe
through all of
Flacco
this.
too, Mike Silver. Let's go.
And Joe Flacco was a big thing at the end. And, of course, they couldn't have Joe Flacco back this year. They couldn't even try to make that happen because they knew, understandably, players in that locker room and fans, if Deshaun Watson kept playing this way, would be like, yo. So they have Jameis. I mean, I don't know. Jameis might toss some to the other team, but he's going to toss some for your team too. It'd be interesting. Yeah.
Well, for Josh Allen, you know, Mike, he joined Scoop City, and he seemed pretty confident that this group could be okay. But he never said it, but you kind of picked up on, like, he knew there was going to be some learning curve here. They're a young group. They were going to need a veteran on this, in this receiver room. And Brandon Beane had been working the phones pretty much the last few weeks. He was in on the Davante Adams situation. They just couldn't afford him. They didn't want to pay that salary. So the contract for Amari Cooper makes all the sense in the world. And look, it just depends on the type of Amari Cooper we're going to get, because we've seen some highs and lows. I saw some bad Amari Cooper with the Cleveland Browns, but
I think he was doing that on purpose to get traded, to be honest with you. Say, hey, you know what, Deshaun Watson? I'm sorry, I'm done with you.
Do players do that,
with the
Chase?
Cleveland Browns? You'd be surprised what players do, Mike Silver.
Like, so
They
that's a
just
thing?
stink it
Like,
up?
I'm just going to be so bad on tape that other
I think it's bad on tape. I think it's the lack of effort. And I saw some lack of effort for that. And I think it's like the Browns are like, all right, like, this is a good player. Like, you're going to see a new and improved Amari Cooper. Like,
But don't
What
other
do you
GMs see that tape and go,
they know what
he's a dog.
they know what's going on.
They know what's going on.
Yeah, and I think the question remains, and I don't have a solid answer at this point. Will the Cleveland Browns basically have a fire sale here before the trade deadline? That's going to be something I'm keeping an eye on here, because I know they want to stay on course here and see if they can turn this around. And shedding players is not going to do that, but they may have to make this call if this doesn't get any better. And it's not with their schedule, as they're hosting the Bengals this weekend.
Yeah, and I think from a Bills perspective, because I do want to get into it, because I think it's really crucial. Like, for me, this move makes the Bills true contenders. That was the one thing and one issue with their offense, Dianna, when looking at it on film, is Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. They were getting pressed up and being played man-to-man coverage versus the Texans and the Jets, and they failed miserably at it, right? We all think that Josh Allen is Superman. I do. Superman's kryptonite was man coverage, because they couldn't beat it. And Josh Allen was 9 of 30 versus the Houston Texans. Then you go out there and you get a guy who beats man coverage, and Amari Cooper. He's averaging 2.7 yards of separation per route in the NFL. It's his most since 2018. That's a lot of separation. Like, Josh Allen, this is what they needed to move on and compete with the Ravens and the Chiefs. And I just love it for them because it makes all the sense in the world.
And we already saw Josh Allen without a true number one receiver. It was before they traded for Stephon Diggs, and it wasn't as good. And then they got Diggs, and it was way different. So if Cooper can do for them what Diggs did when he got there, that's a huge game changer.
Well, we obviously got the 2 big receiver names pretty much off the board before the trade deadline, players that I think we all expected to land.
What about Debo? What about Debo?
DeAndre Hopkins.
There's still a few more that we'll be seeing, and we'll see if Brett Veach is going to try to make that move. But they don't have They don't have money. That's their problem. They have no money. Every time I talk to someone in Kansas City, we got no money. I saw them yesterday. No money. We got no money. A lot of rings, not a lot of money. Still to come. So, guys, we've been talking about it on the show. I've been writing about it. That the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the building, on the field, in the locker room, coaching staff loves Justin Fields. Yet, Justin Fields may not start. We'll be right back. All right, back here on Scoop City, we got the great Mike Silver with us. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, Mike. Chase, you know, we've been exchanging text messages. We talk on the phone about this all the time. And we've been talking about it here on Scoop City about what Justin Fields has been able to do. Obviously, a fresh home, a new coaching staff. All of it has been different for Justin Fields. And the Steelers have opened up their arms and embraced him. And it hasn't all been good, but it all hasn't been that bad either. All this while Russell Wilson has returned from his injury. He's healthy now. And after getting their win last week, we all expected Justin Fields to just continue to take on as a starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers after showing his ability to be dynamic with his legs, help this offensive line, help the run game. A million little check marks next to Justin Fields. Yet Mike Tomlin is explaining to the world right now that he is considering making a change at quarterback and putting veteran Russell Wilson, who we're not even sure is in game shape yet because he's missed so much time, as a possibility to start. So,
hey, hold on.
Did you have a meltdown when you heard this?
You know what? No. You don't do that, because last episode you call me Justin Fields' daddy. Okay? You know what? After that intro, I'm going to start calling you Justin Fields' mommy, because you are at his side with that intro. And no, I didn't have a meltdown. I think it's ridiculous, though. Continue. Justin Fields' mommy.
Okay, so this news happens at the owners' meetings in the middle of all this other stuff that I was telling you guys. And my immediate reaction was, this is weird. Not
Why?
This is wrong. Because everything that I've been told about what Justin Fields is doing, forget what we're seeing, just talking to enough of his teammates and people that are involved, they're seeing what Justin's been doing, how he is creating a great locker room atmosphere. People are buying into what he can do. They are confident of him at the quarterback, but Mike Tomlin doesn't appear to be sold. Okay, so why do this? Why are you willing to make this change when you have something good? Is this competitiveness? Is this just Mike winking? Hey, Jets, prepare for both of us. Maybe you got to get ready for Russell Wilson. Maybe you maybe we will do it. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll use both of them.
Yeah.
We know Mike likes to have fun with the media. I want to see if come Sunday, if Russell Wilson's going to be the true starter.
You feel pretty strongly about this. I like it. Look, this screams Mike Tomlin to me, like wants to be and have a little gamesmanship, right? Like, because when you are 4-2, you have 10 total touchdowns, you have 1 giveaway. You're the second fewest giveaways in the NFL. You're playing winning football. You come off a 32-point game. Your X factor is your legs. Yeah, your throwing can get better. We had George Pickens on the show the other day. the facility show, and he loves Justin Fields. He loves Justin Fields. I got to think this is more, it's a little bit twofold for me. Hey, give them something to think about, the opponent. But also, like, in Russell Wilson's mind, he might start getting a little bit pissed off that he's not playing and he thinks he should be playing. So it might give Russell Wilson a little bit of hope, but the hope shouldn't be there. I'm not worried. Actually, I am worried about Tomlin giving, you forgot to say it, but Russell Wilson's getting first-team reps. So Justin Fields needs all those reps. It's either all in or you're all out. Like, if you're going to give Russell Wilson all the reps, give Russell Wilson all the reps and name him the starter. If you're giving Russell Wilson the reps that Justin Fields needs, because Justin Fields needs to continue to progress, those reps are so small. There's only 30 on a Tuesday, 40 on a Wednesday, 30. I mean, there's like less than 100 reps. If you're giving 30% of them, or however many they are, to Russell Wilson, Justin Fields needs those reps if he's going to be playing in the game.
My only counterpoint, everything you say makes sense. My only counterpoint would be, we're not talking about like Ben Roethlisberger not getting like Justin Fields seems like a great guy. He's done some cool things in the NFL, and they are winning. But that team's in the AFC trying to compete against like Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I'm like, Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl, should have won another. I know he hasn't been the same, since a while. But maybe there's something there still that is a different level of quarterback, because I don't think, as good as the Steelers are in other facets, I just can't see them being real. I see them getting into the playoffs and then classic Steelers, like first round. Hey, the Steelers are in the playoffs. Oh, look, they're down 26-6 in the third quarter. I guess it's not going to happen. They're just not as good. So I can understand if you think that there's a higher ceiling with Russell Wilson, because we've seen it. And Justin Fields, I like him. There's potential. There have been moments. And he seems like he does it the right way. But I don't know, man. It doesn't. I don't think it's like some sacrilegious thing to not give Justin Fields the star quarterback treatment.
Well, if he doesn't start on Sunday, he'd be the first starting quarterback in the Super Bowl era to lead a team to 4-2 or better, and not start their seventh game, excluding quarterbacks who missed games due to injury. Right. So this is why I said this is weird when this came out. Right. And then it's weird. Is this a Russell Wilson machine? Is there things going on behind the scenes? There's so many questions that I have, yet I just keep hearing the same thing, which is we love Justin. So, and by the way, I'm not hearing we don't love Russ. That's not it.
For sure.
It's just
no.
When people gravitate towards one guy and volunteer it, it makes you go, okay, this is the dude then.
You were hearing it last year, though.
Yes.
You were hearing a bunch of "We don't love Russ" last year from the Rockies.
Oh gosh. Yeah, good old Denver.
Not good.
So look, we will see what happens. But Cheese, I have a team oriented question for you.
Yeah,
so
come on.
I'm telling you that I that Steelers players love Justin. They believe in what he's doing. What is this like for a team going, wait, this guy's helping us. Why are we switching quarterbacks? Do you think this is going to create a problem?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about fractured locker room or not. I mean, you got to imagine that the locker room, everything that I'm hearing about Justin, a lot of guys like him. And not only that, but you build the offense. Arthur Smith has built this offense around Justin's legs. And what Justin does really well, you have 6 games to show it. Therefore, until you're going into your 7th game, and all of a sudden you're going to change offenses. Because let's be real, that offensive line play in Pittsburgh is not good. I've counted at least 10 to 12 sacks in those 6 games where Russell Wilson would have taken the sack. And Justin Fields has gotten them out of trouble time and time again. So you're protecting your offensive line a little bit by having Justin in there. Russ gets back there, and I don't know how healthy he is. He's not some young spry chicken that's going to be running around. So I think it's just what kind of offense you are with Justin Fields. You do not know that with Russell Wilson, and I think that's the biggest issue in the whole thing.
I don't mean to make a joke of it, but when Mike Tomlin was at the podium when he initially was announcing that they're considering making the switch, a reporter said, "Is Russ
does Russell Wilson have the ability to escape the rush the way we've seen Justin Fields do against the Raiders? And he goes, no, he does not.
Exactly. He knows what's up. I'm telling you, that offensive line is not good.
It was how he said it, though. It was like, no, he didn't. So like he's telling us, no, he does not have the ability to.
Yeah. I think it's also going to drastically hurt your run game, Dianna, because your run game's built with Justin Fields and Najee Harris. As soon as you know that Russell Wilson's a pocket passer, and there's gone are the zone reads, gone are the quarterback counters, gone are the QB scrambles. You can play the defenses differently against Russell Wilson. You can sit in this too high shell look, which they're not doing to Justin because they're scared to death of his legs. It just I'm with you. It sounds weird.
Well, look, we talk about the Steelers a lot here because the quarterbacks have dominated the conversation. But I think we're going to be having a deeper conversation if Russell does get the start and they stay.
He's not going to start. He's going to start. He's going to start Fields.
There's no way.
Wait, after all of that, your takeaway is that Russell Wilson's not starting?
I think you nailed it. It's too weird. It's like it's a weird thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like but. If
Mike Tomlin's
but if he's
not
taking first team reps, why are you playing these kind of games?
That's what I just said.
Because you've got a Super Bowl winning quarterback who came there with a lot of fanfare, and now he's like, "Yo, Mike, I'm healthy," and they're indulging him a little bit. I think
that's what I was saying too.
We all have one thing that we are going to be paying very close attention to. So, Mike, since you are our guest and newest member to The Athletic, why don't you go first? What are you keeping an eye on?
You got to go first.
Well, so the 49ers went to Seattle last Thursday night, and they kind of got their joy back. And it's been a while, because even as they went to the Super Bowl last year, the Packer playoff game was a struggle. The Lions playoff game, they were down big at the half. They haven't looked loose and happy and fun. They had a brutal offseason with Ayuk and Trent Williams. Ricky Pearsall got shot, their number one draft pick. Thankfully, he's okay. But they went to Seattle. They started having fun. George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk were doing the wife kissing thing in the end zone. The same place where T.O. did the Sharpie stunt back, 22 years earlier. And just in general, they seem better. But they're 3-3. They've blown 2 games to bad division opponents, the Cardinals and Rams. And their schedule's kind of rough, beginning with, guess who, the Chiefs on Sunday. And they're kind of in all-in mode for the season, but they do have a young ascending quarterback in Brock Purdy who they're going to pay after this year. And they're not going to be able to keep paying everyone, and they're getting older. They paid Brandon Ayuk after all that, and they drafted Ricky Pearsall. So you've got your 2 receivers, presumably. Deebo Samuel, who makes a lot of money, who means so much to their DNA, probably going to be gone after next year, although they did restructure him. George Kittle could be gone. Another older guy who's beat up his body and is part of their DNA. So if the 49ers go into a tailspin, lose to the Chiefs, they play the Cowboys. Right now, that doesn't look like a tough game. But then they have a bye. The Bucks are coming up. I guess that'll be after the trade deadline. But if they go 3-5 and teams start calling about Deebo or maybe some of these other guys, Charvarius Ward, second-team All-Pro corner last year, who's having an off year, whose contract's going to expire, are they potentially sellers at the deadline?
Oh, that is going to be
for real.
No, I think he's asking. I think he's saying
if they go 3-5, and
could this be a possibility? That's why I know, Mike. Everyone keeps asking me about the trade deadline.
Who's
going to?
Where does he go?
We don't know yet.
I just wonder if they should get calls if they're 3-5. They should get calls.
Yeah,
maybe even if they're 4-4. And
what's
just
his salary this year? Do we know?
Deebo?
Yeah.
He signed a 3-year, $71.5 million extension a couple of years ago. I believe they restructured those, which is surprising because conventional wisdom after Ayuk signed was he's going to be gone after this year, and it's easy to get out of it. But
dude,
yeah,
make me think. Let's go.
I mean, the Steelers were poking around hard on Deebo and Ayuk the entire offseason before the draft, and certainly Ayuk, throughout the summer. They obviously, they didn't get Amari Cooper. They didn't get Davante Adams. But, that offense you talked about with Justin Fields. And also, doesn't Debo kind of seem like a Steeler or a Raven? What
Debo seems like to me, Mike Silver? Debo Samuel seems like a Kansas City Chief. That's what he seems like with Andy Reid.
Chase, I was thinking the same.
About
they had no money. They had no money.
He's got a cap hit of $12 million this year, so I don't think they can do it. All right, my turn. I'm gonna watch from both ends of the spectrum the Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings game. Look at Detroit on offense, what they were able to do against Dallas's defense. Minnesota and Brian Flores on defense has been spectacular, specifically against the run, right? You have that run game of Detroit versus that run defense of Minnesota. Then you got Kevin O'Connell coming off a bye. Sam Darnold, can he continue it? Jared Goff is playing like a top 6, 5, 7 quarterback this year. That's the game I'm most excited about. Sort of mad that it's not in prime time. It's like at a 1 p.m. Eastern start. It's just like a ho-hum, like another game. But you get two of the best teams in the NFL, which so happen to be in the same division, the NFC North. It's the best division in football. My eyes are on that game.
You guys have really good answers. Mine is way more superficial and sexy. It's the snake pit, right? Saquon Barkley's MetLife return. How many athletes have we seen jump to the rival? We have not seen that a lot, especially in the NFL. So to see Saquon Barkley, we all saw how Saquon Barkley wound up going from being a New York Giant to a Philadelphia Eagle.
Richard Sherman.
That's a good one.
Did it recently. Good one. Anyway,
that is a good one. Well, is it really that recent, actually? It feels so long ago now. But I guess the most recent big name star. We saw how Giants GM Joe Shane completely ignored ownership and still made that move. And now Saquon Barkley has had some really great moments with Philadelphia. So we'll see how that is. When he joined Scoop City.
But Dianna, things change, in fairness.
They do. Things do change, Mike.
Things change.
If you want to see our Saquon interview about it all, look, this isn't us just pumping our own tires. Saquon's done a lot of interviews about this. I think he was the most open with us because it was really raw. It just
pump our tires,
happened on Hard Knocks.
Pump the Scoop City tires up.
Make sure you go check that out on YouTube as you're getting ready for this weekend. Saquon was just as real as it can be about what that experience was like for him. Obviously, grateful, happy to be playing for the Eagles now, who are trying to find themselves as well. They are trying to find an identity. So this isn't an automatic of Saquon Barkley returning to MetLife and just lighting it up. I'm going to guess that Kellen Moore is going to draw up some great stuff for Saquon, especially in the opening drive. But to me, I just want to watch it. I'm actually going to the game. So how about that?
Fangirl Dianna. Okay.
No, reporter Dianna. I want to just go see what's going on there.
And then you'll come home to just a totally mellow house, depending on the outcome. It won't really matter what happened at all.
Kev is the one with the tickets, and I'm doing everything to lie to him to tell him I'm sitting in the press box even though I didn't even get credentialed yet, but I got to work on that. All right, guys, Mike, congratulations. We are so happy you're part of our family. You've always been part of Scoop City, but now you're officially part of The Athletic. A must read. We can't wait to see what you're going to uncover and what you're going to attack over the next few weeks. Chase, it was good talking to you. I want to get back to talking on the phone a little bit more.
It's your problem, not mine.
You're both very busy. You're very busy people.
I'm not busy at 3:20 in the morning when I'm driving in every time.
2 days. 2 days off. That's all I took from talking to you in the morning. But we'll be back in our regular pattern.
Hey, Chase, can't you get the Phillip Rivers deal with the driver and you just watch the iPad?
Man.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
This poor guy's in his car all the
Believe
time.
me. That's the one thing I do complain about is I got to find someone to help me with the driving.
What if you actually got Phillip Rivers to drive you back and forth?
I mean, he used to live like 10 minutes away from me. It could have worked if he was still here.
Here's the problem.
One of his 10 kids have to have their licenses by now.
The problem is you'd be trying to concentrate and chill out, and Phillip would be talking a mile a minute the entire time. God bless him.
100%.
All right, that'll do it for us here on Scoop City. We will see you guys next week.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.